Well, initially during COVID, for me, that year work-wise was really good because I had connected with Netflix the year before as a composer. Hi. And foster dog making an appearance. And obviously streaming went through the roof during 2020. So I had work. I was one of the few people that was actually solidly working because I could work at home. I could send everybody files. Thank God I could program and produce music and mix music and basically be a one-stop shop. Because if I was solely a lyricist and top liner, there is no way I would have been able to survive at all. So me sort of being that nerdy 12-year-old that used to program Janet Jackson songs in her bedroom all day has basically allowed me to survive the industry, because I have some friends who are songwriters who are incredible, like incredible, and they can't currently make a living just from writing songs. And so it almost feels like a Faustian deal in that you can get your music out there way more easily. You know, you're not under the thumb of a record label telling you what kind of music you should make. But at the same time, there's two aspects. You have to figure out how you're going to promote it. And A&Rs have learned the hard way that TikTok views do not equate to sales. They don't, just because somebody views short form videos, scrolling, it doesn't mean they're going to listen to a whole song on Spotify. It doesn't mean it's going to get radio play, which for Europe and the UK is really good money. It's obviously different in the States, but BBC radio performance rates are still really good. I believe it's something like £80 per 3-minute play. So that's really good, but you're not getting that through social media. Some people are. There's the rare occurrence where they are, but it's not necessarily translating into sales. So if you're going to make money, you have to be able to own your master. You have to not have too many collaborators, because then you're carving up the pot a lot and the pot is really small. So it's like, how do you promote on social media that translates to a way to making money that is purely music? That's really difficult. And I think it's difficult for especially people who have been alive when this didn't exist as well and have more traditional ways of promoting things. It's tricky because it's almost like a jingle mentality, right? I was doing jingles for like radio a couple of years ago, and I learned how to compact things into 30 seconds, 60 seconds, no more than 90 seconds, everything all at once. And then there's the aspect that, you know, you are not making a lot of money from streaming. So if we're doing away with the record labels, okay, great, because we can put out our own music, but you don't have a big marketing team behind you now. So if a tree falls in the forest and no one heard it, did it even fall? So there's that difficulty. And then there's the income. Yes, you own your own master, great, but you have to have millions and millions and millions of streams to generate any income. And if you think, you know, a string section on a song can cost minimum 5 or 6 grand, that's if maybe you can do it in Prague and you can get them to send you the things, right? Good luck recording the string section in Los Angeles for that. Well, how are you making music now that has strings, that where you can pay musicians, where you can pay for like this glorious production, because you're not getting it back? So I think now for most people, we're looking at film and TV. You know, years ago, library music used to be shunned because it used to be shit. Let's face it, it was like crappy elevator music. It sounded terrible. It was awful. However, now everyone's trying to do it. And I'll be honest, like doing library music for TV shows has again saved my ass. Like it's provided me with an income. It is a numbers game. You have to do hundreds before you start seeing it show up on your PRO statement. But that's something you can do that potentially could generate some income, right? My advice is you need to be a one-stop shop, because if you collaborate with more than one other person, it's not worth it financially. You can't have an ego about it. It's whatever works for TV, whatever the music supervisor's like. And then direct licensing for sync. That's something else that can generate money in lieu of record sales. But of course now everyone's realized that, and whereas before bands were saying, no, I'm too cool to have my song used on this scene in CSI, now they're begging music supervisors, because again, it's where else are we getting our income from? So the curve in 2020 went up for streaming, composing music for TV, and then as soon as that mad frenzy was over and the world opened up again, those budgets dropped. Netflix reconfigured, they changed their rates. You know, now we're back to scratching around for, you know, things and negotiating rates and that kind of thing. But I guess it's like, not that I know anything about investment banking, but I would imagine the point is to diversify, right? So it's the same thing. You can't be just linear and homogenous. You have to have multiple different things under your musical umbrella. So for me, I do library work, I do composing, and the composing can be anything from like fixing a cue on a movie because they're not happy with the composer, to doing a children's animated promo for YouTube, you know, to a trailer or a promo, or sometimes I get asked to trailerize a song where they've licensed a song for a trailer and then they've realized that it doesn't work in the trailer because it's a loop. And so I'll come in and I'll do all the hits and the wishes and the builds and the string and all of that. So I would just advise everyone, especially women, because we still, to this day, and I hate to bang on about it, it's only because it doesn't seem to have changed, we still haven't been encouraged to be technical. And you have to program music. Just get on with it, get Logic, program music, do what you can. There's Splice now, you know, it's easier than it ever was. It's the only way you're going to make a living, unless you can go out on tour, get some endorsements, be making videos every day, you know, and do brand tie-ins and all that kind of thing. But if you are actively working as a composer or a producer, you don't have time to make TikTok videos every day. You just don't. So I think it's about doing as many different things as possible. And for me, when I first moved to LA, I had to really check my ego, because I'd produced some really cool records in the UK, and I came on the back of a hit dance song that I'd done for Head Candy and Ministry of Sound, and that was going up the charts and it was everywhere. And you know, I'd worked on stuff that was Mercury Music Prize nominated and MOBO Awards and all that kind of thing. And you come to LA and you realize you're starting from scratch. And so initially I was like, I'm not producing a record for like $1,000. Are you kidding me? No. After a while, I realized that saying yes to smaller checks was as beneficial, if not more, as waiting for one big check. And so I feel like I've managed to sustain by putting my ego in check, doing as many jobs for smaller, you know, checks as possible, realizing that those build relationships then, and then the bigger jobs come through doing that. And that's not to say that you let people take advantage of you or you don't stand up for what you're worth. There's still a sweet spot where you do, like, you're not doing things for nothing. but you have to sort of like be open to many different things now. You know, the days of just getting big label jobs and working in big studios, and you know, that's gone. You might still be able to do it every now and again with like one song if you get a really big song, especially if it's global. But if you're talking about, right, regular people who have learned their craft as musicians, singers, vocal arrangers, songwriters, really honed their craft over like decades, because they've done this every day and they are literally skilled professionals, they cannot make a living. Like, that makes no sense. So you have to like pull that out into different aspects and look at what you can do and get paid for, you know, in if you isolate all those aspects. So yeah, it's tricky, and I'm not sure quality wise for people coming up where their opportunities are, in terms of funding big records, or when I said big records, I mean the production of records that includes a big production, musicians, a decent studio to record drums, you know, a mix engineer, strings, background vocals. Like, that's so difficult for people now, unless they are a unicorn and they do everything themselves, right? And how do you do that to broadcast quality? You have to spend 10,000 hours doing it, and how do you pay for your bills while you're doing that? So it's like a chicken and egg thing.